Having feelings is a sense of being a human and also a form of existence. I'm saying this because I have the impression that we as humans today have become way too much sensitive and furthermore reactive to what happens in our lives. And so when somebody constantly lives in a state of anxiousness, of anxiety, I should say, of constant uncertainty of what is about to happen tomorrow, and basically all those things may feel overwhelming. It can be very effective for these emotions if are so entirely free and in a way uncontrolled to damage you in a way they decide to basically can ruin your life in ways that you believe that no such thing is possible outside of your control. And there are many things that are outside of your control, but still you can do an impressive living by your standards. And I'm saying this because I believe I must give a very careful approach on such topic. What do I mean by this? Well, basically no human has no feelings, okay? We cannot live without feelings. And for the most part, feelings are not inherently wrong or bad. They just are. Feelings basically is a sense of right and wrong in their own sense. And if you get that in general terms, you can basically, for every time you feel something strange out of nothing, may as well ask yourself why that happened. I personally was surprised when I did this, and I'm much more comfortable understanding what it is trying to tell me. And so, based on that, I can assume that feelings have their own reasoning. It's just different kind of reasoning other than logic itself. And so, when many emotions seems to be very powerful and want to come out of the surface and have a tendency to control our behavior in a way that we don't necessarily approve, that makes us look vulnerable and weak in a not very, I don't know how should I say this, not in a very charming, I should say, way. Because even though you have feelings, it's not the most beautiful form that you show that you have feelings, not by a long shot. And so my idea would be that feelings are going to exist, full stop. But they also must not control how we act for the most part, also, full stop. And so there must be some kind of middle way. And I think that there is a way for us to be, for the most part, conscious, the most conscious we can get, while at the same time not ignoring how these feelings are and how they exist in a way. And so I'm saying this in a form of basically, if we start treating our feelings as if they're children, basically there is space for everyone. And I'm saying this on purpose because let's just say that there's a person that is anxious, all right, with almost everything that happens. For every small change in their lives, they're getting extremely anxious. And so, if that person actually, with the passing of time, essentially grow, and many years have passed, 20, 30, 40 years, and he or she is still anxious, the same, if not more, anxious, it would mean that that person never actually grew up, because it always kept a distance, essentially, from his or her own and the way that he feels. That person never understood why he felt such anxiety, or never did anything about it, because people are anxious because they either feel powerless against that, or they just have that feeling and response as a default in a way. And basically, if you grow with standards like that, you are not sorry, you're not giving too much attention to your own feelings and to your own reactions to life and existence and to your environment. And so that is important. Why? Because first, you must be conscious of that is happening. Because if you're not aware of what's happening in your life, you're probably not going to do the life that you want for the most part. You're not going to be as conscious and present to experience life, to exist, to experience existence itself. And second of all, the anxiety that I mentioned earlier is trying to tell you something. It's not an enemy. It's not something to burn or to get rid of. It's something to listen to. And so basically, if you take the approach of you being an adult and basically listen to that child, the anxiety that wants to tell you something, there's a much bigger chance for you to calm down and you calm the child down, the anxiety itself. And so based on that, one can be a little bit less anxious, or a lot, who knows. But also he made the attempt to listen to himself. And basically, in my opinion, someone does not really grows as an adult, especially, if he or she does not really listen to what their feelings have to say, or I should say their own children have to say. And so an immature behavior would be that is constantly altered, that is constantly negative out of any negative circumstance and constantly panicking and getting anxious and losing their minds in short terms. And another person who can concentrate and stay still, basically, and at the same time being able to listen to himself, how he or she feels, basically is a grown person. They grow up. They know how to deal with difficult situations. And they also learn how to listen to themselves. I'm saying this because it's a very underrated statement to say to listen to your feelings. Most people want to get rid of their feelings as if it's something not so important or something trivial or something that is an obstacle for the most part. If only I did not feel. If only I could not feel, then my life would be amazing. Then I would not be miserable or sad or have any kind of depression and basically be more relaxed or chill based on the same situations. And so that is an intention, that is a form of running away from your true self and your feelings, because basically you don't want to deal with yourself. You don't want to deal with these heavy and strong feelings. And another thing that I saw, at least in myself, and I thought it can be for many people true as well, is that people who have a tendency to feel such emotions the strongest are the ones who have a tendency to not only get rid of those sensations and feelings, but to also run away and essentially avoid these feelings in almost every way. Basically, by trying to avoid it or trying to hurt it or burn it or whatever, it pains you back way more than we imagine. It's much more painful. It tries to live. It wants to live. And so if someone tries to be honest with themselves and listen to how they feel and basically treat that emotion as if it's a child, and if you can imagine that this feeling, that this anxiety, that this pain comes from a child that is also in pain, in anxiety, and basically you as an adult know how to relax that child, to make sure that this child is no longer in fear, is no longer angered, is no longer under threat, because you, the adult self of yourself, who feels in a way, is going to tell you, to the feeling of yours, that everything is fine. I'm going to take care of you because I'm here for you and I love you. And that's basically what we are here for. Basically, you put your consciousness into play, a role for the emotion that the emotion never experienced, and you are there for him, or you are there for it, for the emotion itself. And I think that's a way more meaningful, beautiful way to treat yourself. And basically, if you do this a long time, it becomes natural. At first, it's a bit weird, but it's also natural. Because you become the parent that that child always wanted. And it's not the superficial self-love, love myself because I essentially ignore everything I do not like about myself and then pretend that those things I hate about myself don't exist. Not that kind of self-love. Self-love basically is going to come from go and talk to the pieces of your heart, of your spirit, that you think is wounded or hurt in a way. And so you're going to do this by treating yourself with respect for the most part. Treat yourself with kindness. And if not now or right now, assume that one day your exercises and practice on your emotions and treating them like human beings, like small human beings that have the greatest potential in the world. If you treat those emotions like beautiful, gorgeous little children that want to live, basically, you can make miracles then to yourself. You can make miracles in your life. And if you basically start learning and basically learn how to speak to yourself like this, relationships that may project to you the same feelings as you had once upon yourself, you can be skillful in a way that you know how to treat other people better. The ones who are grown-ups, the ones who are truly mature, are basically the ones who have strong connections with their feelings without rejecting them, and by also being conscious enough to be the lord of the castle, the captain of the ship. And that is essentially both a curse and a blessing, that we are alive and we have feelings and we can feel pain and misery and loneliness and everything painful that we can imagine. That people around us hurt us, that people around us for the most part do not care about us, how we feel, and they take pleasure in essentially making fun of ourselves behind our backs and find ways to mock us or things like that. For the most part, people can be like this, but that essentially can come from emotional immaturity, as I mentioned, but also people not know how to deal with themselves or just find a way to escape their reality and remember something to have fun, and then after that fun return to their own lives that they hate and do not know how to handle, and basically hate their lives for existing and being able to feel. Feelings are not the enemy. In fact, feelings essentially is the basis of all energy for the human of the species, in my opinion. And there are, even for the negative, even for the emotions that are way too heavy and negative, such as anger or jealousy or lust or whatever. Those things are just are. They're part of our existence. They're part of us existence the way that we are right now. And basically, there's no such thing as humans existing without those traits. Basically, the only reason that we are still in lust, still in jealousy, still in wrath, and feel the seven deadly sins, what we say, and many other feelings. The reasons that we are able to feel those things still, even though they consider to be bad and horrible and all those stuff, in some cases they can be, but the reason they exist still is because the humans that once did not feel those things eventually died and got extinct, and the ones that they did feel those things made more humans and basically managed to survive and make essentially the humans we know here today and now, in a way. And so this is my message for the day. Our feelings are not the enemy. It's not a curse. It's not something that you should suspend or neglect. It's something that, for the most part, you must learn from there and try to listen. Basically, that can be a great start to your emotional maturity and then relationship maturity. Your connection with people is going to it's going to start from listening and then respond as an adult, as a grown-up person, how to deal with a negative emotion, how to treat it like it wants to live, basically. And so that is going to be my video for today. I hope you like it, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye, and thank you so much for your time.